Be right back.
One, two, three, four, and we have five. Okay, we have quorum. I'm going to get started. Hopefully the other board members will trickle in due time. Adequate notice for this meeting was provided by sending the notice, the Asbury Park Press, the Middletown Patch, and the Middletown Township Public School District website, and the posting of such notice at the Augustine Minor Administrative Offices and each elementary, middle, and secondary school website in the district. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Caminetti. Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Mr. Donlin. Mr. Gimo.
Here.
Mr. Little.
Here.
Mrs. Minuis. Mrs. Wright.
Here.
Mrs. Stella. Mrs. Stella. Mrs.
She just
Rogers.
went for break.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Okay, at this time, we'd like to take the opportunity to have a public comment. Public comment tonight is the same rules as in person, 3 minutes each. We have a 30-minute total limit.
Okay, it looks like we have.
Mr. Rotolo, you have public comments for us?
Yes, it looks like we have three hands raised in the attendees. We'll go in order, and we will start with Julie Prozeller. We'll unmute right now. Hello? Oh, there we go.
I'm sorry, Julie, we can't hear you. Do you maybe have your mic muted? Can you unmute your mic?
Her microphone is unmuted.
Who are you talking about? Is it me?
No, it's
I didn't have a question. So I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Yes.
Ms. Prozeller, yes.
I actually didn't have a question, so I'm not
Oh.
sure if I accidentally pressed something. So I
Oh.
apologize.
Okay.
Never mind.
Well, thanks for coming tonight.
Okay, then we will move on to Michelle Pitzer.
Hi, Michelle.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, Michelle.
Hi,
We
good
can
evening.
hear you.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to strongly reinforce our family's opposition to the closing of Port Monmouth Elementary School, especially in the midst of this pandemic when we have been told by the CDC that social distancing is the best weapon we have to stop the spread of this virus. We need to be brainstorming ways to keep as much space as possible between our students. This is not the time to be combining two schools. It makes zero sense to move forward with the closing of our community school. To take our children from a safe space and shove them into New Monmouth School is not advisable. We need more space, not less. What is the plan for keeping our children safe in school come September, regardless? What guidelines and criteria are being discussed and used to make this plan? How will parents be informed about this plan as it develops? And what alternatives will be offered for parents who do not feel safe sending their children back to school in September? Will virtual instruction be extended in that situation, especially for children who have autoimmune issues. Thank you.
Thank you. These are all good questions. The board has just put out a letter to the editor as well that's been featured in 101.5 to address the issues. We do want to make sure the children are safe before we return to school in September. These are all good points. Leonora and Joan can't get into the meeting. Chris, can you get them in here?
Yes, I can. I can certainly try.
Chris, can you also resend the panelist link for Lester Taylor? Thank you.
Okay, I'll work on that. In the meantime, we have another attendee, Lydia Eller. Maybe they can,
Okay, Lydia.
Lydia, let us know of their last name when they start reading. Hold on one second.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Lydia Loshava. And the questions or concerns that I have is, I wanted to know, although you will say that you were closing Port Monmouth in consideration of all the facts that you've had, now due to new circumstances and this new world that we are currently living in with this pandemic, I would like to know if we can consider the obvious, which is to keep Port Monmouth School open, even if it's just for yet 1 year and 1 year alone, until they have tested vaccines that come out. I just don't see why we need to cram one school together, two schools together, when they need to be socially distanced, per the CDC, Dr. Fauci, and all scientists that feel the same. So I wanted to know how we can keep our children, or what the plan is to keep them 6 feet apart and safe when there can be up to 25 children per classroom. Most kids do not want to wear a hat and gloves in the winter, so I would like to propose the idea that they all wear a visor mask that costs approximately $4 each, and cheaper, I would imagine, if purchased in bulk. I Googled the term visor masks for children, because if they wear the masks over their mouth, they surely cannot do this for 6 hours. However, this would adhere to their forehead and go down quite low so that it will not allow germs to seep in should someone sneeze or get closer to them. It's not a cure-all, but it's more likely they'll keep it on as opposed to a mouth mask. For those children that maybe parents can purchase them on their own, maybe you can have one that is posted with a link on the township page so everyone gets the same one. And the Title I students, maybe we can purchase their masks with the recent $438,719 that the school district gets as federal relief. Also, federal relief for the pandemic. Also, how do they plan on properly purifying the air? Is there a way that they could put industrial air purifiers in the classroom? And some form of partitions between the rows and desks will absolutely be needed, because as we know, children are going to reach out and want to touch each other and borrow pencils and pens and things of that nature. So I'm hoping that that's in the plan as well, some form of partition. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. The answer is, of course, that we still don't know yet, and we are writing a letter to Governor Murphy, which I will read during new business later. But these are, again, all good questions about keeping our children safe as we think about possibly going back to school in the fall. Once again, Chris, I just have to ask you, Mrs. Minuis, Mrs. Caminiti, Mr. Taylor, they all still can't get into the meeting.
A link has just been resent again to them. So
Is this the first link? They couldn't get in with the first link. Is this the second link, an additional link?
I only have one link to send them. So it's the one that all of you have received. So
Okay.
I'm hoping they will have better luck getting in this time.
Okay.
I will.
Mrs. Caminiti was able to log in earlier because she logged into
Yes,
the
that is
public
correct.
meeting before executive
Right.
session,
Okay,
so
let
I'm
me
not sure
just
what the
say
issue
that
is.
It's not a different link. It's the same link. Same link. Okay. Do we have anybody else from the public who'd like to speak on
Yes.
agenda item only, please?
We have Catherine Tappan Verdero, who I will allow to talk right now. It looks like I'm receiving a message and I'm trying to unmute her that she is using an older version of this platform. And she may not have capabilities to talk right now. So she may need to update. She may need to update her version of the platform, of the Zoom platform, to be able to speak.
I'm sorry, what is the name?
Catherine Tappan Verdero.
Catherine, you might need to update your system, or if you cannot get on this evening, please do email us. Email the board, rogerspa@middletownk12.org. Or if you can get on, later in the evening, we do have an additional public comment for you.
We have another hand raised in the meantime. First name is Jessica. There is no last name listed, so maybe they can notify us of their last name. Allow them to speak right now.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Verdiglione. I'm a parent for New Monmouth children. I just have a quick question about the reassignments of teachers being voted on tonight. I noticed that the special teachers for art and music are now going to be split between 4 or 5 schools. How is that going to work with the new special schedule? If usually you make a schedule for the teachers prior to reassigning them, and we talked about 2 board meetings ago, I believe that you're adding the technology special into the schedule for elementary children. So how is this going to work with this schedule? How the teachers, are we cutting back time in art and music and other specials that are being discussed with the rerouting of the teachers?
Kim, I know we don't usually comment to people and answer their questions right away in public, but because this Zoom is such a strange medium, is there any way we could just answer that question about the state mandates right now?
Sure. So starting September of this year, 2020, the state is rolling out new computer science and digital design standards, computer technology standards that will now have specific targets that students will need to meet at the different elementary levels, K through 5. Thus, it required the introduction of a digital design computer science course at the elementary level to be included in the specials rotation. The typical courses that students receive and participate in. In addition, the state recently adopted new legislation and guidelines for the instruction of health and physical education. There has been a long-standing requirement in the state of New Jersey that students at the elementary, at all levels, but even at the elementary level, receive 150 minutes at a minimum of health and PE instruction a week. Your week in each district is defined as your schedule. The principals have been working very closely with the directors of curriculum and the supervisors over the last couple months. And as Jessica insinuated and referred to, we have talked about this at different board meetings. The principals will be presenting to their school communities on this new 6-day, it's going to be a 6-day rotation schedule. We've spoken about it briefly in the past at public meetings. So the 6-day schedule will have an A through F day. It will be a rolling schedule. It will include 4 days of health and PE instruction to ensure that we meet the requirement of 150 minutes of health and PE. I just want to note that this is also a change from the previous ways we were able to calculate those minutes, because this year, last year, we also had to adopt and make adjustments to our schedule to ensure that we are in compliance with the new recess law, the elementary level. So prior to the recess law, we were able to count physical TDPE, teacher-directed physical education, the 20 minutes each day that the students did, towards their 150 minutes of health and PE. That is no longer allowed under the new legislation. So the 150-minute requirement has to be in pure course instruction. So 4 out of the 6 days of the new elementary special schedule will be health and physical education all year long. So that will be a full year course. The other 2 days of the 6-day rotation will be semester courses. So for the first half of the year, on the remaining 2 days, a student or a class may have on, and I'm just going to use a simple example, on the 5th day, assuming the first 4 days are health and or PE, on the 5th day, for the first half of the year, they may have art. On the 6th day, for the first half of the year, they may have computer science and digital design. Then the second half of the year, they would continue their full year course of health and PE to meet the legal requirements for that instruction. In addition to now, in the second half of the year, on the 5th day, they may have Spanish, and on the 6th day, they may have whatever the remaining special is from those last 4, the art, the music, the computer science, digital design, and the Spanish. So those 4 courses will now be half-year semester courses, part of that 6-day schedule. And that was the collaborative decision in making sure that the district is in compliance with implementing all of these standards and legal time requirements that the state requires of us.
Okay, thank you, Kim. I'm so sorry to do this. Chris, we are still not able to get Mrs. Minuiz and Mrs. Caminiti into the meeting. They're getting a message that says you are unable to rejoin this meeting because you were previously removed by the host. I'm not sure what's going on. I sent them a link, same link from before. Lester's in now. We're just waiting for Mrs. Minuiz and Mrs. Caminiti.
I will reach out and find out what's going on.
I'm sorry, Chris. Thank you.
No, not a problem. Looks like we have Holly Vogt has raised her hand. Would like to issue a comment. I will allow her to speak now. And it looks like she also may need to update her Zoom platform to be able to do that. So yeah, she may have to.
Yes, this is a new thing you need to update. You need to update your system today with Zoom. So everyone who's having that issue, just please update and come back to us for the second public comment.
And it looks like Catherine Tappan Berdero is back. Let's try her again.
Okay.
Having the same issue with her, so she was going to have to log out.
Yeah, you just have to update your system. Couple clicks and you'll be good.
We have Lisa Baker who's raised her hand who would like to speak. We will unmute her now. It seems she's having the same issue. She's going to need to update her Zoom platform to be able to.
Yeah, that just happened today, or I think it was yesterday, that you would have received an email saying you need to update your Zoom platform. They're trying to upgrade it because so many people are using it now with the COVID. Unfortunately, our meeting is falling on today.
Yes, so if they can log out, if they'd like to speak, log out, and they should be issued an update from Zoom. It should take no more than a minute and they can log back in, and yes, we will move on from there. But at this time, I'm not seeing any other hands raised at the moment.
Easiest way too is to log in through your phone. If you can log in through your phone is the easiest way to update. It's just one click. Okay, so we have no more public comment for now. We hope everyone will come back and join us later. I'm just gonna move forward with the agenda. Do we have Mrs. Caminiti and Mrs. Minuiz yet back in? How are we doing? We have Mr. Taylor.
I will work on that right now and try to get them in.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Okay. So we're moving on to number 8A, the approval of proclamation for the Special Education Week in New Jersey. Whereas for the 35th consecutive year, the New Jersey School Board Association is sponsoring Special Education Week in New Jersey. Whereas we recognize the achievements of students with disabilities and their teachers. Now, therefore, I, Pamela Rogers, serving as board president and on behalf of the Middletown Board of Education, do hereby proclaim May 11th through May 16th, 2020 as working together to build a special future for all Special Education Week in New Jersey. I need a motion to approve 8A, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? And now for the report of the superintendent.
Yes, we are required to, by the state of New Jersey, to approve an update and a revision to our virtual learning plan between now and the end of the year. We have a virtual learning page. All of the updates to our virtual instruction plan are posted, so you can see the administrative team has been working with staff and students and parents to communicate, revise our plan to make sure that we're providing the very best instruction possible for our students. This plan is a plan that really speaks about what we're going to be doing between now and the end of the year. It also includes the timelines for our extended school year and the possibilities. Ms. Pincus, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add at this point. It will be posted on that virtual page after it's voted on tonight. And it is a comprehensive plan. And I'd like to thank all of our administrators and everyone who's worked on this, on the revision of this plan to make sure we're providing the best instruction for our students.
Okay, I need a motion to approve 9A1.
Mrs. Rogers, we have 9A1 and 1A. We have the submission of the plan and the approval of the plan. 1A is on the addendum.
I'm sorry.
That's okay,
Okay.
so perhaps you could do them together.
It looked exactly the same to me. I thought it was a misprint. Okay, 1 and, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve A1 and 1A, please.
Mr. Jaimo,
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, Tom.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, we're moving on to finance. I need a motion to approve A1
And we have items 2 and 3 on the addendum.
and then items 2 and 3 on the addendum. Great.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, we need to move on to personnel, which we discussed in closed session. So that's with the addendum B 1, 2, 5, and 6, 8, 11, and 12.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, moving on to student services. I need a motion to approve the revised ESY dates for the 2020 to 2021 school year, July 22nd through August 20th, 2020, Monday through Friday.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I need a motion to approve
Pam?
D1. Yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we go back to the personnel report? Did we knock off all of the numbers? I feel like we may have skipped some of the numbers and said they weren't voted. I could be wrong. It could have dropped out, but Amy, can you check?
Well, I thought what Mrs. Rogers was saying is we had the personnel report and then she was listing specifically the additions from the addendum.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we
So
had
the
knocked off
motion, as I
everything.
understood it, included the original personnel report plus the addendum items that she listed.
Okay, and that, I just wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything.
No,
and get
thank you.
caught on a technicality. Okay,
Thanks,
sorry,
Ray.
Pam.
That's okay. So we need to go to curriculum. Yes, I need a motion to approve D1, the approval of the SOAR dates for the 2020 to 2021 school year, which is July 27th through August 21st, 2020.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. I'd just like to pause for a moment and see if we can get Mrs. Caminiti and Mrs. Minuis back in this meeting. I've sent them a couple of links. I don't know if Mr. Rotolo's back to update us on that.
The links have been resent to them. I tried to reach out to Mrs. Minuis via phone call. Was unsuccessful a
Okay.
couple of times. I'm working on getting a number for Ms. Caminiti, try to reach out to her. But the link, as I said, has been resent to both of them a couple of times now.
Okay.
Wait,
Um,
Mr. Rotolo, do you want me to text them that you resent the link? Okay, I'll do
Please, that
right
would be
now.
great. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Mrs. Stella, can you text Chris Rotolo Leonora's phone number? I don't want to say it on the Zoom.
I already sent
I'll
it.
email it. I'll
Ms.
email
Rogers,
it.
I already
sorry,
sent Chris the
Ms.
number.
Louise is calling me now. She's on the phone now saying she still can't get in. And she asked if we can hold up. Well, I'm saying it for her. Hold on for a moment so Chris can at least try to send her the link again, because apparently her and Leonora are trying to get in, but the link isn't working.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just on the phone with Leonora too. So yeah, that's why.
She said that something happened where it was uninvited or something.
Yeah, trying to get her back on. Yep.
Always something, never a dull moment.
Joan, I have you on speaker now, Joan, just so you can hear everything that's going on. And Joan, just for the record, I had a hard time getting in too, and I think Mr. DeFranco resent me the link, and I was able to get on through his.
Pam resent it to us, but every time we click on it, doesn't go anywhere.
And Mrs. Minuis and Mrs. Caminiti dial in on the phone number and not use the computer link. Isn't there also a phone number in the invitation?
Joan, do you have a? There should be a phone number in the link as well. Can you try that in the meantime? That way, at least you can participate by conference call. You have the same access, just no video, which is fine because other board members and members of the public have their screens blocked off as well.
But then Joan won't be able to see my cat when my cat walks by.
All right, Chris, Joan is saying there is no phone number in her link. Is there? I think if you scroll down, you'll see it.
There's
The links, they aren't easy to pick out.
There is a phone number in the invitation. I will resend it again.
Right, Chris is resending it now. The phone number is.
I have one.
Does anyone have any old business to discuss while we're here?
We could discuss the timelines of the strategic plan for the public while we're waiting.
Yes.
Mary Ellen, Mrs. Walker is ready to speak about that, just to give a concise update.
Yeah, I'll give you an
Mrs. Walker,
update.
do you want to do that at this time?
Sure. The Board Strategic Planning Committee and the co-chairs, including the administrators of each of the goal committees, met last week and to start the process of developing the plan. This week, the individual goal committees met to start developing the objectives for each goal. This process is going to be completed by May 22nd. And on that date, the chairs of each of the goal committees, and there's 6 goals, each of the goal committees will meet and review the draft. And then at the May 7th meeting, they will present the goals and objectives to the community. The community is going to have 2 weeks to comment through emails on the goals and objectives. At that point, the committee of the goal, the goal committees will get together, review the community comments, make revisions as appropriate based on those community comments, and then create a final draft for the board to vote on at the June 24th meeting. in addition to the strategic plan that we're working on for the next 5 years, we've also created an update for the 2019-2020 district goals. And Dr. George is going to provide that to the board in his Friday memo. He'll link that. That includes evidence of achieving all the goals, with a link to all the achievement data, including the virtual home instruction plan that you already did vote on tonight. So you will be getting that on Friday, and at the next board meeting, we will be discussing it and presenting that evidence.
Hold on one second, Joan.
Thank you, Mary Ellen.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any old business? If not, I could move on to new business and read a letter to Governor Murphy. I see Lester's mouth moving, but I don't hear him. No?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I had you on mute. I was talking to Joan Menuis. She was asking whether the board voted yet. I informed her that the board did vote, and that I had trouble getting on as well as other board members, but that the meeting did proceed.
Okay. So for new business, I know that I got the okay from the consensus of the board via email, but I thought for the public, we would read our letter to Governor Murphy. We will also be CCing other legislators, and this is in reference to going back to school, hopefully in the fall, and what we're to expect with the developments concerning COVID-19. This is what we've written. Dear Governor Murphy, the May 4th announcement closing New Jersey schools for the remainder of the 2019 to 2020 academic year brought some amount of closure to the uncertainty hanging over our Middletown school community. The circumstances are unfortunate, and the Middletown Township Public School District, like other New Jersey school districts, is doing its best to execute virtual learning, meet student and staff needs, honor graduates, and anticipate obstacles and hidden costs that must be absorbed in current and future budgets. The reality is that we cannot make up for canceled proms, plays, concerts, ceremonies, competitions, meets, and other activities, whether organized or just a moment with friends in the hallways. These are realized social and emotional losses for students and their families. For graduating seniors, rising 8th graders, and other classes marking academic milestones, the impact is especially poignant during a transitional phase in their life. We value the safety of our community, so administrators and building level personnel will do their best to design and execute celebrations that are both compliant with state guidelines and worthy of the efforts of departing seniors, rising 8th graders, and other students who have reached milestones. While we finish the school year and make necessary adjustments, we have not lost sight of the looming uncertainties regarding the state of the next school year. That's only a short few months from now. We must be able to address student needs and open our schools safely. The logistics facing our Board of Education and school administration are daunting and rife with a multitude of concerns. Will the school district be required to provide additional services over the summer? In September, how do we transport students safely? How do we seat students in classrooms? How do students change classes and access lockers? How do we conduct physical education classes? Will masks be required in schools? If so, who will supply the masks? If either a student or a family member falls ill, what is the protocol? How do we support our nursing staff? How will we be able to not only execute, but fund these much needed solutions while maintaining a high level of service to staff, students, and parents? Middletown is already facing scheduled reductions in state aid while adopting new standards such as those for physical and health education. These mandates have added costs to the budget. Prior to the current pandemic, our district made significant changes to adjust our footprint and resources in response to our increased budgetary constraints impacted by reductions in state aid. These changes have included some difficult decisions around service provided, facilities, and staff. The addition of a lingering, unforeseen global crisis to our local school governing and financial process is a lot to absorb. Conducting learning and supporting our staff and students in this environment is unprecedented in our lifetime, and we must get it right. The go-forward model must be well thought out. To that end, we are looking to your office, the New Jersey State Board of Education, the New Jersey Department of Education and our elected officials in Trenton to show clear, strong leadership on this matter. We ask that you avail yourselves to the best science and information and spare no expense in devising a plan to safely and confidently open and operate schools in New Jersey. We ask that officials communicate with us clearly and openly throughout the summer and seek input from our representatives in order to arrive at decisions acceptable to our community. We would hope that any unexpected reductions in state aid would not be forthcoming, and that state officials will at least consider delaying current scheduled aid reductions until we find a new normal. Middletown and all of New Jersey have shown great resolve in facing this pandemic. We are and always will be a state that comes together in times of trouble and shows the rest of the country what true community looks like. We look forward to solving the next set of challenges together. So that is our letter to Governor Murphy. We will be CCing our legislators. Do we have Mrs. Caminiti and Mrs. Minui's back? No.
I still have Mrs. Meanyweez on my phone, but I don't believe she's. Joan, are you back on the Zoom yet or no?
Can't get on.
She can't get on. She can't get on, Pam.
Okay, Joe, we can hear you if you'd like to speak on old or new business.
She just hung up on my phone.
Okay. In that case, let's move forward to public comment. I'm hoping some of our friends who we lost
Pam?
earlier will come back.
Pam,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we, just one more bit of new business.
Yes.
As we talk about, and hopefully solve this technology issue, I think one thing we should decide upon as a board is the timing. I know the last board meeting we had, we started the executive session at 6 o'clock and went to the public session at 7. Tonight we started exec at 7 and went to the public. It wasn't even until 9, right? So I think it might be useful as a board to determine if we want to go back to the 6 o'clock hour. None of us are commuting, so it might make a little more sense to back it up an hour, and then everybody gets to leave the meeting an hour earlier.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Do we have a consensus for that?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Don likes it also.
Will be the executive session, and 7 p.m. will be the public from now going forward throughout the quarantine.
Good.
And then we'll revisit it if and when we come back to brick and mortar board meetings.
I'm good
All
with
right,
that.
at this okay, thank you, Tom. I'd like to open up public comment, and this does not have to be on agenda items. This can be on anything.
We have Holly Vogt, who is back. We'll try her again.
Okay,
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Holly.
Yes.
Hi.
Sorry about that. Hi. Hi. Thanks. I just have one thing I just want to say thank you to the teachers at Fairview School, Mr. Milando, Mrs. Kutosa, Mrs. Camino, Mrs. Richards, Mrs. Osborne, Mrs. Jackstadt for all of their help and support. I have 2 children at Fairview right now, and this has been quite the struggle. But I do have a question regarding grading and moving forward for elementary school students. I know that I had seen an announcement for middle school and high school students and how they had planned on essentially, as long as they received a certain grade, they would be moving on and would not be penalized for any decline that occurred during the virtual learning. Obviously, God willing, I'm not going to decline that much, but I wanted to know if there was a plan for elementary school students as well.
Yes, the intention with elementary is the same as secondary, that we're going to look at where students were when we moved to the remote platform of virtual learning. and social distancing. And that it's our intention, first and foremost, to communicate with our students each and every day and provide the best opportunity for them to continue their learning. As we know in elementary, we have a standards-based report card, not a grade-based report card, but the overall intention is the same. To not do anything in any way that would negatively impact students' grades where they were when we went into that, to try to keep them connected and to try to focus on their emotional and educational well-being and just focus on the curriculum and provide the supports the best that we can.
And we have Lisa Baker.
Hello?
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. I was wondering, I'm Lisa Baker. I'm at New Monmouth School, Board of Ed Rep. I was wondering if there was any talk about the 180 days. I'm sorry if you read that in your letter. My daughter walked in midway. If that has been addressed, I know a lot of parents have been asking me about it and a lot of rumors. Kind of just hoping you're going to tell me that we're going to end this. Also, the transfers that went out last night, the chart. I'm a little disappointed. I already wrote Pam and I'm talking to Stella, Robin tomorrow. But I feel that some of the teachers are spread a little too thin. Some of the teachers went from going to 2 schools to now 3, 4, 5 schools. Also combining that with the fact that our numbers in our school are going to double. So it's almost like taking on an entire school. So that was one of the things I did want to say. And lastly, Dr. George, I didn't think it was possible to be any more disappointed in you. I hope the board can find a replacement in this difficult time, and you're really putting us in quite the pickle. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any more public comment, Chris?
Yes, we have Lydia L. who's back. I think she can let us know her last name when she comes in.
Hi, thank you. Just a few random thoughts as you were all talking. I was just wondering for this 4th marking period, if we might consider for PE, since the children are in front of their screens for so much of the time, if it might at all be possible for them to do a Flipgrid video or some other kind of video of them doing some kind of physical education, say biking in their backyard or running or playing soccer, football, baseball, or soccer, anything like that, so that maybe they can get out in the middle of the day while still accomplishing something for academics. Another thing I wanted to know is if that demographic survey was ever done and completed, and if so, where can I find it? And I also wanted to know what will be of Mrs. Nardini from Port Monmouth School. Will she come to New Monmouth, since she knows our children well and she knows the parents? So even if you put the social emotional aspect aside, it's also a safety issue, because you will have an entire school joining New Monmouth, and you will have all sorts of parents trying to pick up children. And Mrs. Nardini will be able to positively ID that the children being handed off to the parents are indeed correct. So it's a safety issue. And I was also wondering, I think this is what Lisa Baker was talking about with the 108 days, but I could be incorrect if that's not what she meant. I understand they usually give a week for the NJS or the state test that the kids didn't have, as well as the fact that usually they have half days the last week of school, where deservedly so, the kids usually have fun as they should, and watch movies and do fun things. So I'm just wondering, since they're not in school to do those fun things and they really don't accomplish anything that last week, and there's also an entire week that they take those tests, or at least certain grades do, if we could possibly eliminate those days, since They're not days they would ordinarily be learning anyway. I don't know if that's a state thing or not, but just thought I would raise the question, and that's it. Thank you so much.
Dr. George, could you maybe answer the 180 days question? 'Cause a few
Yeah,
people
sure.
have asked.
The
Thanks.
state has not made a change in the length of the school year, and other states have done that. But the state of New Jersey has kept in place the 180-day requirement, and that remains in place.
As far as the demographic study, we have 2 demographers, and we're reviewing their proposals currently. We haven't chosen a demographer yet for the job, but the job will take place throughout the summer.
Okay, we have next speaker's name is Kristen. They can notify us of their last name when they are in to speak.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Kristen Drennan. I have 3 girls in New Monmouth Elementary. I just had a question. If this was to continue on to if the virtual learning was to continue on into the next school year, would it be more based on district-wide on how things are going to be handled? I understand this was put on the teachers last minute and every teacher's trying their best, but I have been talking to a lot of parents in different schools in the district, and I have friends and family that are in different schools, and their teachers are doing in an elementary school, doing more hands-on like Zoom meetings and teaching virtually to their class compared to where my kids are in the same exact grade and aren't fully getting that hands-on teacher teaching. So I was wondering just, I know right now it's pretty much based on the teachers and how they want to do it, but if it's district-wide for next year, if this was to continue, if it would be based on district-wide and not how the teachers want to do it. I just feel like my other friends' kids might be getting a better education now compared to mine, being able to see the teacher actually teaching them in like a small group through Zoom or Google Hangout and whatnot. So I just was wondering if it's going to be, if this was to continue on to the next school year, if this would be talked about and be more of district-wide teaching and not more on the parents, because it's 3 kids in elementary. It's definitely a struggle, and not knowing everything that the teacher would teach. It's hard. I'm going on YouTube videos trying to understand how to teach certain things, especially with Common Core. So I was just wondering if it's going to be a little different if this was to continue on.
Yes, thank you. First of all, there are very clear expectations, and I would encourage you to go to our virtual learning page. You know, the transition, obviously, to virtual learning was as abrupt as it was, based on our district initiatives, was very well thought out and very well planned. We've continued to update this. This is not the expectation from our district is not that this is based on in the way individually teachers prefer to teach it. So first and foremost, if you have concerns, I would ask you to reach out to your child's teacher. And then from there, if your concerns are not met, to communicate directly with the building level administration. And also to take a look at the virtual learning plan to make sure that the education that your children are receiving is consistent with that plan, because it is a district-wide plan. And, you know, I will say this, that the expectation that it is equal to or better than when we are in school. You know, I don't think anyone, any administrator anywhere would say that, but it's an evolving transition, and we are working diligently to improve. Our teachers, because of our personalized learning initiatives, have received a lot of professional development that was helpful, but it's different than going abruptly to virtually all online instruction. Ms. Pekas, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that?
You hit all the points. You hit all the points, Dr. George. I was going to, thinking as our last guest was talking, our last participant.
There's just something else, you know, which is kind of right in line, and I'm very grateful for the board and their leadership, reaching out and communicating with legislators and the public to talk about all the unknowns that are out there right now. But you know, there's some real bright spots in this. One is the leadership, and Mrs. Walker, you might want to speak to this for a second, the outstanding leadership of our nurses and of our facilities supervisor, Walter Cahill. You know, our cleaning processes and sanitizing are second to none, but even still, we are regularly meeting to talk about when we return to school, making sure we can do everything we can to keep our schools as clean and safe as possible. Administrators are working on that diligently. Our nurses are not only following CDC guidelines, but they've gone way beyond that. They're working with our Middletown Board of Health. And Mary Ellen, I'm not going to steal your thunder. Mrs. Walker, you could speak to this because you directly oversee the nurses and work with them, and you could probably give a better detailed report on that.
Yes, our nurses are working. They've been trained by every single one of our nurses, all 19, are working with the Middletown Township Health Department, doing counseling, contact tracing. Their work is really keeping the residents of all Middletown safer. Also, they have their pages that they're, you know, maintaining, working with students. Our head nurse, Eileen Gavin, she's been asked to be on the committee, the state committee for reentry plan, for you know, getting back to school. So she really has a voice. Our district has a voice in that plan, and that's that's something that's going to be very favorable for our district. Not only will we know what's happening, but we actually will have, you know, some say in what the plan is. And our nurses have been doing a lot of community service also with food banks, fundraising for, you know, the needs of the community. They've really stepped up and gone way beyond all of our expectations.
Mrs. Doherty, you might want to add into this conversation about the meetings that we're having with Mr. Cahill and supervisors for facilities.
Well, I'll just add to what you said that we were fortunate enough to order some things even before the pandemic set in that have really helped us in this process. We were able to procure some electrostatic disinfecting guns and to use, you know, throughout the buildings. We have a ample supply of cleaning and disinfecting supplies. We also have procured even some UV lights that we are able to use. So we have been keeping on top of this and keeping abreast of everything that we need to do. As the staff is filtering in and out of the buildings on a limited basis to do their necessary functions, you know, the custodial staff is making sure that all those spaces are freshly sanitized and disinfected. So, you know, we are keeping our eyes open and our ears open to, you know, prepare for September. But, you know, I feel that we've place, and we've actually helped out some of the township agencies in this regard as well.
I'm fortunate enough, every week now, superintendents get together on Wednesday for an hour or two, and we discuss and talk about all those unknowns that the board has mentioned that Mrs. Rogers has talked about that we're planning for. But, please, we want our public to know we're planning for them. We are working out multiple scenarios right now on many different things depending on, what next year's school year looks like. So it's not that a lot of thought and planning isn't going in. It is going in. We're just looking at all options and making sure we can provide the very best educational opportunities in a safe environment for our students.
And just one more thing, Kristen, I feel your pain. I've got 2 little ones at home too, and it is a struggle to suddenly become a teacher at home. And I feel for you. I just want to remind everyone of the chain of command. If you're struggling, please reach out to your teachers. If your teacher is also having trouble at home and maybe can't give you what you need, then maybe talk to your principal and go up the chain of command until you are satisfied and we can help you, because we do as a district want to help. Chris, do we have anybody else who wants to speak?
Yes, we do. We have 2 hands that are still raised. Michelle Pitzer, I will unmute now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I understand that there are a lot of still unanswered questions, and you're waiting for direction from the state on many of the things that I asked earlier. In terms of the question I had about keeping our children safe in school, never once did I have any doubt that our nurses are on point. I understand and I believe in that. I know that they are on point. I know that they are well trained. Really, my question is more about the administration and just the practical aspects of how this is going to work. And I understand you don't have answers to that yet, but I would like to know, how do you plan on keeping parents informed in the development of that plan? I would like to know, when will you let us know when you get the information? And will we be offered opportunities for alternative plans if we are still not feeling comfortable sending the kids back in September? So that's what I'd like to know. When will we be afforded that information so that we can make our own decisions at that point?
Right, that's a great question. Thank you very much. First, like all the information about the nurses, that's been in our newsletters. So please continue to look at our newsletter that Mr. Ruotolo puts out at the end of the week with the input from myself and administrators from across the district. That's a great source of information. The second is the virtual learning page. Your specific question as it relates to the flexibility about whether or not you'll have the opportunity to either participate virtually or have to physically come into the building. That's an attendance issue. So that will come from directly from the state as it relates to attendance. And I think those things we will continue to be discussed in my superintendent's meetings, and administrators. We're all attending meetings from across the state with the DOE. The DOE has kept very much open lines of communication. And, I feel like we are getting information. And as soon as we get that information, we will share that with our public through our newsletter, through our virtual platforms, through social media. And we will communicate that as soon as more information becomes available. Whenever we send out information from a district, I know that Mr. Ruotolo has over 12,000 emails. The information is sent out virtually to those 12,000 emails. The information would be, any updates as they relate would be on our website. And it would also go out through the social media platforms.
I think if I may, Pam, I think it also bears noting that 5 of the board members have children in the schools, and that none of us, and then plus Mrs. Caminiti, Mrs. Minuis, Mr. Donlin, and Mr. Jaimo would never want to risk our children or our friends' children's, any of their health, or, to the extent that this is an infectious disease, the families of these children, our friends, safety is paramount. It's been part of all of our discussions, at least the ones I've been involved in strategic planning. So, I think it's important for all the parents who are on the Zoom or on the YouTube or whatever to understand that this district and this administration is working with the Board of Ed, and we're parents. I've got, my daughter in high school, we've got kids in the elementary schools, and so we are looking out for my kid, for all of our kids together. I see a lot of nodding heads on the Zoom here. So please, all the parents in the district, please remember that we're parents too. This disease impacts all of us the same exact way. So I think it's worth noting.
Well said, Nick. Thank you. Mr. Rotolo, do we have anybody else who wants to speak?
Yes, we still have 3 hands that are raised. The next is Julie Prozeller.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, thank you for your time. I just had a question about the strategic planning process. And I wanted to know if redistricting was still on the table, and if so, if that's would be like on a more of a top priority, or it's not something that you're that focused on.
Yes, redistricting is on the table.
Okay, we have Erin Winters.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Erin Winters, Port Monmouth. I am mostly still very concerned about the consolidation of Port Monmouth, New Monmouth School, which I'm sure is not, a surprise to most of you because I've attended a lot of the meetings in months past. Dr. George, you recently announced that you were going to be resigning. And so now, come late August, we're looking at a new superintendent. We're looking at potentially redistricting. We're looking at continuing the strategic plan. We're looking at consolidating 2 schools. We're also considering what to do about the coronavirus and putting almost 500 kids in one school. I feel like there are so many uncertain things going on right now, and we're going to ask a new superintendent to come in and fill these shoes. All of these transitions are happening at the exact same time. And I know you guys have already started moving forward with moving staff and offering contracts and things like that, but I strongly feel that we should not be consolidating a school at this time. I know one of the parents had said it earlier that maybe give it 1 more year. The coronavirus could be in a completely different situation. God willing, in a year, we'll be in a better space. We'll have a superintendent who will have been here for a full academic year, who can better understand the needs of Middletown students. I don't feel that this is the time to be making so many serious transitions all at once. And academics aside, a lot of our students are seriously struggling mentally. 5 of you are parents, as I heard before. I'm sure you're seeing this firsthand at home with your own children. And now we're asking our Port Monmouth and New Monmouth students to have a brand new start with a brand new population, on top of the fact that they might be wearing masks, may not even be starting the school. I'm sure you understand where I'm going with this. I would really like the board to seriously consider redistricting at this time with all of these transitions going on simultaneously.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have, next is Jessica Verdiglione.
Hi, good evening. I just had a question about how are you going to monitor student learning loss through all of this? I know that it's going to be a real struggle in the beginning of the year because the students have lost a quarter of the school year now, on top of usually there is learning loss, usually regression through the summer. what remediation is going to be there, especially if we're virtually, and our teachers going to be given professional development on how to handle this, especially in the classroom, if it's virtual or in the brick and mortar setting. What are the plans in place? Because for small group instruction, I think it's really important, especially at the lower levels where they're foundational years for these kids, that they lost a quarter of the year, of learning and teacher, and, they are hurting socially and emotionally, which is also hindering their academics. So what's the plan in September to address all of this?
Yeah, so Ms. Pekas, you might want to speak to that. I will say that I don't concur that we lost a quarter of the school year. I know that our parents have all worked very, very hard to make sure that, and our students have been very committed to the learning process to this date, as well as our teachers. I also, we're talking about elementary. I don't know any other district that I'm aware of in the state of New Jersey, which has actually done some benchmark assessments, some benchmark assessments in language arts and mathematics, so that we really do have real data into where our students are. We are absolutely looking at all the research as it relates to the slide potentially, because as we said earlier, this is not equal to or better than instruction when we're in our brick and mortar buildings. We know that. We know that there are going to be changes that need to happen as a result of that. But with the work that we've been able to do virtually and the benchmark assessments we have, I think we're going to have pretty good data that we're working with right now as an administrative team to plan for that as we prepare for next year. Mrs. Pekas, is there anything you want to add to that?
We also are in the midst of planning for a summer program that will be more expansive than what we traditionally offer, which is more targeted to students who have specific achievement gaps that need to be addressed. So the summer program we're looking at will be inclusive and provide learning opportunities for all students to maintain or grow their learning outcomes and their skills and content knowledge. So that's something that we're already discussing. We actually did just start discussing this week with principals, and we're having follow-up meetings with directors as well, how we will compact the curriculum for over the next couple weeks to make sure that very targeted and the major skill and standards in each area, especially in mathematics and English language arts, are maintained or addressed over the next 5 weeks as we close out the school year. That's very strategic on our part and then the teacher's part. And in addition to that, we do recognize, as you said, Jessica, I thought it was Julia, but Jessica, we do recognize that starting in September, there's going to be a period of time where we're going to need to do some quick analysis and a check-in with students to identify which specific needs will need to be revisited from the previous year before moving forward. To that regard, when we have devised the new elementary schedule specifically, we've included a period of time that is already afforded to our middle school and high school students in advisory. That's a term that if you have a middle schooler or a high schooler in Middletown, you know that we have an advisory period. And we're incorporating a significant portion of time each day at the elementary level to make sure that small group instruction, personalized learning, and targeted instruction can occur, knowing full well that that's going to be necessary come September.
Okay, we have one more hand raised, Lisa Baker.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to make, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make one more comment because I'm also a little bit scared about having a new superintendent, having all this going on, you being able to hire somebody. And maybe I was just wanted to say that if there's any consideration of somebody in-house or somebody who knows the district, even some of the assistant superintendents or somebody who could step up to the plate. I just think that having somebody just come in new with all this stuff going on just seems like a lot. and it's just been on my mind. So that's just a comment I wanted to make, that maybe if anybody had somebody in-house or somebody who knew the district, if that would be a better option for us. That's it.
Thank you. The board actually discussed how we're going to move forward with the replacement of Dr. George today in executive session, and we'll talk about that more in the public in the meetings to come. Do we have any more public comment, Chris?
We have no more hands raised in the room. We did have a couple of emails that came into the board meeting email address, which I can read right now.
Okay.
This one, well, I should ask for advisory on this one. This one does not have a last name on it. Would you like to, can I advise that? Would we like to read it into the record without a last name on it?
I mean, you can read it. We're here. It's fine.
Okay. From Colleen, says, hello. Due to COVID-19, some neighboring districts have talked about a delayed opening until October or running the district on AV days to keep classes small. What are the possible ideas that you have looked at for our district?
Mr. Rogers, I would just suggest he read all of the comments that are emailed in before there's a response, if any.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. The last one is from Shannon Malloy. Says, Pam Rogers tweeted today that the BOE wrote an open letter today stating the logistics, quote, the logistics facing our Board of Education and school administration are daunting. There are many concerns. How do we transport students safely? How do we seat them in classrooms? How do they change classes and access lockers? Given these concerns and lack of direction from the state, does it make sense to move forward with the closure of Port Monmouth School? Once it is closed, it cannot reopen. The spaces that school may become valuable space for the 2021 school year. Since this was a budget decision, I am sure there are cuts that can now be made if students do not go back to school as usual. The public feels strongly that the safety of our children is imperative to return to school in the fall, and the BOE is not listening to these concerns and blindly moving forward, business as usual, from Shannon Malloy.
Is that it, Chris?
Those are all the comments that were submitted to the inbox, yes.
Okay. Okay, before we adjourn this evening, I would just like to address Dr. George's retirement. I just have a short statement that I'd like to read to him from the board. Dr. George, the board is so happy for you and wishes you all the success and happiness you deserve as you embark on this next journey. Friends of mine have reached out because they're worried about how we will move forward without the leadership and guidance of our bigger-than-life superintendent, Dr. Bill George. He's the best of the best. He's a pillar of strength with a heart of gold. He loves our children, and while we may not always agree with him, above all else, we respect him and we believe in his vision for the district. I tell my friends, and I'll tell all of you tonight, that what the general public does not or may not know about Bill George is that he's not only a great leader, but he is the great collaborator. His team is stacked with capable, competent, confident leaders in their own right, who contribute daily to run this district. When faced with challenges, they pivot and deliver excellence in education, as we've seen most recently with our seamless transition to virtual learning. There is no doubt in my mind that Dr. George's team is ready to take the wheel as we transition to new leadership. I have every confidence that we will complete our strategic plan and move forward successfully, even in this time of uncertainty due to COVID-19. And Dr. George has promised that he's just a phone call away if we need him, and I intend to hold him to that. Best of luck, Bill. I've learned a lot these past 2.5 years as together you and I found a way to lead our teams through some extremely difficult circumstances. We did so with civility, trust, and respect for each other. And for that, I thank you, and I will always remember you fondly. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bill.
Thank you. I just want to say between now and September 1st, my retirement date, I will be working diligently with our highly skilled, very talented administrative team and a very competent board to accomplish the writing and of that strategic plan so that we will be prepared to move forward. Thank you for your kind comments. And I will say that I'm very proud to end my career in Middletown. I can't think of anywhere else in Monmouth County. I would have rather wound up my career being a superintendent than in Middletown. This is an amazing community, and I am so grateful to have had the opportunity to work in this community and to work for this community, to work with the amazing teachers of Middletown and all the staff members. It is such a great community and a great way for me to go out. And I know that that we will, between now and that time, do everything we can as a board and as an administrative team to make sure we're strongly positioned. You might say, why September 1? I think September 1 is the best time to go because it's just at the start of the next school year, and a combination of closing out the school and preparing for the next year, as many people have mentioned tonight, or a few people have mentioned tonight, to make sure that we're prepared for all this change. So thank you to the Board of Education. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to work with this board and previous boards to accomplish all that we have. To our administrative team, supervisors, directors, principals, such a talented group of district directors, and to the central office team of Mrs. Doherty, Mrs. Walker, and Mrs. Pekas. I am so grateful to have led with you and learned from you. The boards of education, I think that we were highly qualified to take on this difficult health crisis because of all the board's support with personalized learning, which really set us up and prepared us well to deliver instruction in this virtual environment. And though it is not equal to or better than the brick and mortar building, and we're all looking forward to the return to that brick and mortar building, I know that we will make sure that our students can be successful moving forward. To the families of Middletown, it's been an honor. For the students, I've been so inspired and impressed by the work of our students during this most difficult time. And I'd like to end to say, I am profoundly sorry to all of the students who have lost their traditional experiences, curricular and co-curricular, end of the year celebrations that normally take place. I just know that we are trying and planning any way we can to celebrate all of your tremendous work. And lastly, to the seniors in high school, I know that your senior year didn't end the way you wanted it to. And I know that our teachers, whether it's preschool teachers, because I see it and I hear them and I listen to what they're saying, kindergarten teachers, middle school teachers, upper elementary, high school, we miss our students. We miss our brick and mortar buildings. And we are sorry to our students and to the families that this is unfortunately the way we have to end our school year, but we are committed. From the very beginning, when we entered this virtual environment, we said in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. And we were going to do everything to meet our students' emotional as well as educational needs. And this is an opportunity to reconnect some students that might be disaffected, but this distance learning environment might be better for them. And for those that are really struggling, we got to be present and be there. So, for the parent who spoke tonight and said that, it's tough having 3 children, and I completely understand. And a lot of parents feel that way when you're working and you're in this environment. Please, between now and the end of the school year or at any time, we as an administrative team, whether that's building level or central off, and our teachers and our staff members, we are committed to our students, and we are committed to our families, and we are committed to supporting and providing the necessary resources for the children to be successful. And that's why it's been such a pleasure to work in this district, to work in a place that values family and values children, and will do anything it takes to support their children. So thank you for this opportunity. Circling back to where I started, I can't think of anywhere else that I would rather be. I'm so proud to end my 33-year public education career here in Middletown. And thank you, Pam, for giving me the opportunity to say that at the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. George. Anything else from the rest of the board members before we go? Did we get Joan and Leonora back? No?
I just want to say just thanks, Dr. George, for everything you've done for the district and you continue to do. Look forward, at least for the next couple months, to work with you still. I think folks see the results from virtual learning of your team, the teachers, all the educators, all the staff. I don't think they realize how many hours you guys work, after school, during the summer, all year round, always thinking about things. And I think that's a result of good leadership at your level and the levels below you, and then below it just flows down throughout the whole school district. So thank you very much. Thank you for your leadership. And like I said, looking forward to the next couple months, see how much we can get out of you before you leave.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, if there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Have a good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Night.